This is Mission Control Houston. Ron Spencer there, standing up toward the back of the room. He is today's flight director. With him is veteran astronaut C.J. Surko. He is the Capcom that you've heard talking with the crew. As we talked about, back behind Ron Spencer is Holly Ridings, one of his fellow flight directors, who was on console back in May during the test flight of Dragon as it came up to the space station for the first time. She has worked very closely with the SpaceX team for several months before that flight and knows the spacecraft extremely well. So she's here just in case there's any questions and just to kind of help out the team here. Sitting beside her is Norm Knight. He is the chief flight director, also here monitoring today's activities as well. But everything fairly quiet, fairly smooth this morning. Dragon's on its way up to this 30-meter hold point, which should arrive here in about 4.5 minutes. There will be another go, no-go, and at that point, Dragon will continue and head up to the capture point. As we talked about, everything's been a little bit ahead of schedule this morning, about 10 to 15 minutes. But our capture time is still scheduled for 6:22 a.m. Central Time, 7:22 a.m. Eastern.
Station Houston, Sunny, at your convenience, we will take that block Bravo now. We're negative KU.
Okay, in work. Okay, first, white strobe is within the crew aboard corridor limits. Vehicle size looks the same as the vehicle outline. The white strobe, with respect to the strobe tracker circle, is about 1/8 aft and just slightly starboard. The strobe tracker's position with respect to the crew aboard corridor is pretty much centered. Maybe 1/8 aft and 1/8 port. And I would say that concurs for both camera 07 and 09.
Okay, we copy all, Sunny. Great report.
This is Mission Control Houston. Dragon is almost at this 30-meter hold point. crew there giving a report on what they see, everything looking exactly as expected. Scott Stover now walking into the room. You see him walking back toward the flight director console. He will be the Orbit 2 flight director that will come on here in the next few hours.
Houston, we see us in step 4.
And Dragon has arrived at the 30-meter hold point.
29.4, secondary 29.39. I see us in hold. VV mode is also hold.
Okay, we copy all, Sonny, and Houston flight is discussing with MCC Hawthorne right now.
Copy that. Just last report, the range rate has decreased to approximately 0.
Roger.
So again, Dragon is holding at 30 meters away from the International Space Station. There will be another no-go poll that will be completed by the team here in Houston and also in Hawthorne, California with the SpaceX team. This vehicle is still running about 15 minutes ahead of time as we take a look at the SpaceX team at their facility there in California. It will hold here for about 14 minutes, and then it will proceed to the 10-meter point, and that is the capture point. Again, still on time this morning, 6:22 a.m. Central Time, 7:22 a.m. Eastern Time. That is when this vehicle will be captured by the crew of Expedition 33 aboard the International Space Station. Even though we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, the capture time still scheduled for 6:22.
Station Houston on 2. Sonny, just want to verify you're doing step 3 right now of 1.110. Station Houston, Sonny, we just want to verify you guys are doing step 3 of 1.110.
Okay, we'll put step 3 in work.
Thanks a lot.
Houston Station on 2 for cameras.
Go ahead, Sonny.
For camera 9, do you want the published numbers for pan and tilt and zoom, or do you want them as they're set up on the monitor right now?
We'll take the published numbers, Sonny.
In work.
Right now, the teams both in Houston and at SpaceX's control center in Hawthorne, California, are conducting the go, no-go to leave this 30-meter hold point and proceed on up toward the International Space Station to a distance of 10 meters. That'll be the capture point for Dragon. As you can see there, the station's arm is poised and ready for operation by Aki Hoshide. He will be the one that will be at the controls. As the arm reaches out and grabs onto Dragon at that 10-meter hold point, there is a live view of Hoshide as well as Sonny Williams inside the cupola as they get ready to grab this spacecraft with the station's arm. Right now, the two vehicles are over the Indian Ocean at an altitude of 251 miles, heading up toward the northeast.
Station Houston on 2, no rush, but just letting you know that Houston flight is tagged up with Hawthorne, and we're just standing by on your call at the end of step 3.
Copy that. Houston Station, at the end of step 3, crew is ready for Dragon approach to capture point.
All right, we copy, Sonny. Houston flight is going to give MCC Hawthorne the go to initiate the approach from 30 meters. And right now we think that it'll probably be in the darkness when we arrive at the capture point. And so there's no rush again. They can hold there. If the lighting doesn't look good for you in the camera views, you don't like them.
Okay, copy that.
This is Mission Control, Houston. So the SpaceXDragon spacecraft basically on its final stop before proceeding to the capture point. Right now it's at 30 meters. It's about to move on toward 10 meters. It'll take about 17 minutes to move from this 30-meter hold point to the 10-meter capture point.
Station Houston, Dragon has begun approach from 30 meters. Perform step 5 of 1.102.
Copy that. We see the VV mode is approach, and the primary range is decreasing. We see range and range rate as well. Do you want to block Bravo?
Not right now. We have good KU.
Copy that.
As you can see, the sun is setting on the Dragon and the International Space Station. These two vehicles are up over China right now, heading up toward the northeast. They're going to be passing over directly above Shanghai, and then over parts of South Korea, basically running parallel to Japan. You heard the call from CJ Sturko just a few minutes ago saying that even though we're running a bit ahead of schedule, they're really going to rely on the crew to take a look at what the lighting is outside. Obviously, they want to have a good view of Dragon. as Aki Hoshide with Sonny Williams backing him up. Reaches out with the station's arm to grab onto Dragon. They will come out of this nighttime pass that they're about to enter into right about at the top of the hour. The capture time still scheduled for 6:22, although it could take place just a little bit earlier than had been planned. But we will see how these next few minutes go as Dragon continues to close in on the space station itself. Dragon is now at 26 meters away from the station, closing in a little bit slower than what was done before. 0.03 meters per second, as we talked about, as Dragon gets closer and closer to the station. This rate of closure slows down than the previous phases of flight. It's a very methodical process, but we still have about 13 minutes to go before Dragon will get to the 10-meter hold point. Dragon is now at 22 meters. This again is a view on board the International Space Station. As the crew takes a look at this, you can see the green overlay. Dragon is pretty much where it's expected to be. But the sun setting on the two vehicles as they pass high above South Korea. Our altitude right now, 261 miles above the face of the Earth. Heading up toward the northeast over parts of Japan, then over the Pacific Ocean. Dragon is still clearly visible with lights from the International Space Station as it continues to close in on the complex itself. It is within 20 meters at this point in time, heading up to 10 meters. If you look closely from time to time, you'll see some flashes around the vehicle. Those are actually not Dragon's jets firing, even though we have seen those this morning. Those are thunderstorms above the Pacific Ocean as the two vehicles fly over nighttime above the Pacific Ocean. So keep your eyes open, and you may see some fairly dramatic video as this capture draws nearer.
station on 2, just a request, wondering if all the lights on the ISS are on.
Sonny, we can confirm all the station lights are on.
Okay, thank you.
This is Mission Control Houston. Dragon is continuing to close in right now, a little bit less than 12 meters away from the International Space Station. This is the view that we were talking about before here inside the flight control room of this green pyramid that is drawn around Dragon. This is the box that the vehicle needs to stay within. This also matches up with what the crew is seeing on board as they take a look at the robotics workstation. But Dragon continuing to close in. It is pretty much right down the middle. And we're getting close to this 10-meter capture point coming up in just a few minutes, and that is the point at which there will be a final go, no-go for capture. And that is when Aki Hoshide will reach out with the station's arm with the help of Sonny Williams and grab onto this vehicle, and we'll have a capture confirmed. This is a view from Dragon's cameras as it looks up at its target. And Dragon is at this 10-meter hold point.
Station, Dragon is holding at the capture point. Perform 1.102, step 6.
102, step 6 in work.
Sonny, we're going to have some Radicom in here. As soon as you get all that done, give us that call down at the bottom of step 6 so we can do what we need to do.
Copy that.
So now the Dragon's at the 10-meter capture point. Both teams here in Houston and also in Hawthorne, California are doing their final go, no-go for capture. This will take a few minutes, and then they will call up to the crew that everybody is go. At this point, Aki Hoshide getting ready to steer the station's 58-foot-long robotic arm. It'll reach out and grapple Dragon coming up here very shortly. At this point in time, the two vehicles are high above the Pacific Ocean, about to make a northwest to southeast pass.
But we're going to turn the strobe light off.
Copy.
The teams right now are confirming the Dragon's in a good position for capture. Everything looks good right now. We'll command Dragon to go into a mode that is known as free drift. This is something that all vehicles are put into before they're grappled or right as they get close to the station. Basically, it prevents any inadvertent steering thrusters from firing.
Conditions are confirmed and the crew is ready for Dragon capture.
Okay, Sonny, stand by for the go to perform capture. We're waiting for a solid AOS, and we will call you back. It's going to be ready for just 2 more minutes.
Okay, copy that.
So they're going to wait for communications with the space station to clear up over the next couple of minutes, and then they're going to give the crew the go for capture. It looks like they will be doing this ahead of time this morning. Our time was scheduled for 6:22, but everything's been running ahead of time. We're about 17 minutes away from the space station and Dragon entering into sunlight, but as you can see here with the lights turned on, the outside of the International Space Station, they have a pretty good view of the vehicle.
Station Houston, you are go for capture sequence. Perform step 4 of 1.110. Also, Sonny, begin monitoring the back-away cue card.
That step 4 of procedure 1.110 is in works.
So now the crew gets ready to reach out and capture Dragon in the next several minutes. Dragon currently holding at 10 meters away from the International Space Station. All the systems have checked out. The crew has said that they are ready. These two vehicles are passing from the northwest to the southeast, almost running directly parallel with the western coast of the United States. Their altitude right now, 255 miles. That is the bottom side of the International Space Station you see there. At the very top is where Dragon will be installed here later on this morning. Sticking down there at the bottom is pressurized mating adapter number 2. That is the former home of the space shuttles. On the left and right is the Columbus Laboratory and the Kibo Laboratory. But Aki Hoshide and Sonny Williams right now inside the cupola in a different part of the station, getting a pretty good view of this vehicle outside the windows. Aki Hoshide is about to steer the station's 58-foot long robotic arm to reach out and grab onto the grapple fixture on Dragon and bring it in toward the space station. A crowd of employees, they're gathering back behind the glass outside their colleagues as they take a look at their vehicle getting ready to be captured by the crew of Expedition 33. Elon Musk there on the far right-hand side of the screen also watching along. But now it's in the hands of the crew, Sonny Williams and Aki Hoshide. Aki's the one set the controls of the robotic arm. Sonny's backing him up. The team here in Houston reporting that the arm is in motion, so the team is moving it out toward the vehicle, and they will be capturing it here shortly. Right now the crew is just getting the camera set up on board so they get the view that they're looking for, and aligning the tip of the arm up. So the arm is now moving toward Dragon. Aki Hoshide is steering it. Sonny Williams is watching over, making sure that everything is going down according to the plan. These two spacecraft are 252 miles above the Pacific Ocean, just off the coast of California, almost directly beside Los Angeles and Hawthorne, California, where the SpaceX team is housed. The robotics officer estimating about 3 meters between the robotic arm and Dragon. They're confirming that the Dragon is in free drift. It is not steering itself any longer. About 2 meters away. Everything lined up as expected. You see the attachment point there. That is where the arm will grab onto. One meter left. Capture confirmed at 5:56 a.m. Central Time. The two vehicles are currently 250 miles above the Pacific Ocean, just to the west of Baja, California. Once again, 5:56 a.m. Central Time, 6:56 a.m. Eastern Time. Dragon is captured.
Houston, station on 2. Capture complete. We got to go for post-capture reconfigure. Looks like we've tamed the Dragon. We're happy she's on board with us.
Wait.
Thanks to everybody at SpaceX and NASA for bringing her here to us and the ice cream.
We copy, Sonny. Nice flying. We'll put the post-capture configuration in work.
Expedition 33 Commander Sonny Williams there talking with the ground teams here in Houston and, of course, in SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, congratulating both teams on the arrival of SpaceX's Dragon to the International Space Station. The Expedition 33 team has now captured Dragon successfully at 5:56 a.m. Central Time, 6:56 a.m. Eastern Time. This vehicle is taking up hundreds of pounds of supplies for the expedition crews on board the space station, 260 pounds of crew supplies, 390 pounds of research and experiment equipment, 225 pounds of vehicle hardware, 7 pounds of computers and supplies, and some ice cream, as you heard Sonny Williams there thanking the crews for. As we talked about at the beginning of our broadcast, this vehicle has a unique capability to bring cargo back to Earth, and that is what it will do in about 2.5 weeks at the conclusion of this mission. This spacecraft is taking up 882 pounds of supplies, but it will bring home more than that. 1,673 pounds will come home to Earth after the 18 days that Dragon will spend attached to the station. The next major milestone for us will be whenever Sunny and Aki trade places and bring Dragon on into its berthing with the orbiting complex. That is coming up later on this morning once we get an estimation of exactly when that's going to take place. According to the timeline, we will pass that on to you.
Station Houston on 2, we're ready for step 5 of 1.110.
Step 5 and 1.
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, the Dragon spacecraft has been successfully grappled and captured by the crew of Expedition 33 aboard the International Space Station. It took place at 5:56 a.m. Central Time, 6:56 a.m. Eastern Time. These two vehicles were 250 miles above the Pacific Ocean, just to the west of Baja, California. Both Sonny Williams and Aki Hoshide, two of the crew members of Expedition 33 that have been working on this morning, are still inside the cupola, looking at this spacecraft outside the window as the sun rises on the two of them. They are currently still over the Pacific, heading down toward the southeast, skirting the western edge of South America. But there is a view of the berthing port of Dragon. It will soon be mated with the Harmony node, the bottom side, the Earth-facing side of that portion of the International Space Station. We're standing by to get an estimation of what time that's going to be taking place this morning. But everything going fairly smooth today as Dragon closed in on the International Space Station, performed a series of hold points to where go, no-goes were given by both Houston and SpaceX. All of Dragon's navigation systems, the LiDAR, the thermal imagers, and the GPS systems worked as expected. And the spacecraft is in good shape. As you can see, handover taking place there at SpaceX. Their teams are going to swap places, and their Orbit 2 team's going to come on. That will also be taking place here inside Mission Control later on this morning. But the crew on board the space station taking a few minutes just to get some photos of Dragon. But it's always a pretty sight seeing the sun come up over the darkness of the Earth below of these two spacecraft as they fly together. Of course, the morning's work is not done. There's still quite a bit of robotics work that has to be done to get Dragon moved around and positioned underneath the bottom side of the Harmony node. That'll be its destination and its home for the next 2.5 weeks, as the crew will be installing it here later on this morning.
Houston, IC is complete with step 5 of procedure 1.110.
We concur, Sonny.
This is Mission Control Houston. The Expedition 33 crew is continuing to work through a series of steps to get Dragon ready to be installed on the bottom side of the International Space Station. There was due to be a break in between the capture time for Dragon and the point at which the crew would actually begin the maneuvers to spin Dragon around and put it on the station and install it. But as is the case today, and has been the case since we came on the air, the crew is working ahead of time. So they're already deep into the processes to get this spacecraft installed on the bottom side of Harmony. So a programming note here on NASA television: instead of taking a break as we had planned, we're just going to stay with it and continue to bring live coverage of the Expedition 33 crew as they get ready to install this SpaceXDragon spacecraft on the International Space Station. So once again, we will not be breaking away. We will just stay here on NASA television as the crew continues to work.
Station Houston on 2. Sonny, just letting you guys know that Robos will be maneuvering the Dragon to the pre-install position.
Okay, copy that. Houston, station on 2. Looking for a go for CBCS power up.
Your go, station.
In work.
This is Mission Control Houston. Both the Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station flying high above the South Atlantic Ocean right now. We'll be passing up to the south of Africa and over parts of the Indian Ocean. The crew is quickly moving through the steps to get Dragon into position for installation there on the bottom side of the International Space Station. Our capture happened earlier than planned this morning. It happened at 5:56 a.m. Central Time, 6:56 a.m. Eastern Time. Soon after, there was a successful grapple. The commander of Expedition 33, Sunny Williams, sent down her thoughts to both the teams in Hawthorne, California, there at SpaceX headquarters, and here in Houston with the team here in Mission Control. We're going to play back that audio for you now here on NASA television.
Houston, station on 2. Capture complete. We got to go for post-capture reconfigure. Looks like we've tamed the Dragon. We're happy she's on board with us.
Wait.
Thanks to everybody at SpaceX and NASA for bringing her here to us and the ice cream.
We copy, Sonny. Nice flying. We'll put the post-capture configuration in work.
So again, that was audio from Expedition 33 Commander Sunny Williams aboard the International Space Station at 5:56 a.m. Central Time this morning as the Dragon was successfully captured.
Houston Station on 2, procedure 1.511, node 2 CBM verified premate status is complete.
All right, we copy, Sonny. Thank you. Station Houston on 2 for Sonny when you've got a second.
Go ahead, CJ, with you on 2.
Hey, Sonny, we're just looking ahead in the timeline here and how the day-night cycles and the KU is lining up. Of course, you can tell by looking at OSTP we're way ahead. In order to stay ahead, we're thinking about asking you guys to do the CBM inspection, and that'll keep us ahead of the timeline, or we could wait around for better lighting.
We could do it, that's fine. Just tell us where we're going.
All right, we're not ready for that yet. We're just getting your thoughts on it, and we'll tell you more in a few minutes once we get to the position.
Okay, sounds good.
This is Mission Control, Houston. The crew of Expedition 33 is still in the process of getting Dragon ready to be installed on the International Space Station. The capture took place earlier this morning at 5:56 a.m. Central Time, 6:56 a.m. Eastern. The crew is way ahead of the timeline this morning, and they are continuing to move fairly quickly through the list of tasks that they need to get accomplished. They are rotating Dragon around where the basically two hatches, the one on Dragon and the one on the bottom side of the Harmony node, are facing each other to get everything lined up. They'll be doing an inspection of the common berthing mechanism, which is the structure that will bind these two vehicles together, and then they will proceed on. So we will stand by, as we talked about earlier, in terms of our programming here this morning. We were scheduled to take a break in between the capture and the actual installation. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to stay with you live here on NASA television because of the fact that the crew is working so far ahead of time. So once we get a better idea of exactly when this installation is going to take place, we'll let you know, but it is coming up here shortly as we continue to bring you live coverage of Dragon's flight to the International Space Station.
Houston Station on 2, we are putting some pictures of the Dragon CBM on SSC 8. They're taken from the 400.
All right, we copy. Sonny, the OCA officer will come on board and grab those pictures. And station on 2 for Sunny. We're still not ready, but if you want to start looking at it, the procedure is going to be alpha decimal 6, passive CBM inspection reference.
Okay, that's in work. We're taking a look at it.
And it's in the Strucken Mech book.
Copy that. Houston Station on 2, we were just reviewing the photos that were taken with the 400 and pretty much got the whole surface. So if you guys by chance got those down, you can take a look at them too.
All right, Sonny, as soon as we get KU, we will bring them down, and we'll let you know how the timing works out on that.
Okay, sounds good, and we're happy to, we have that procedure pulled up too, and we'll do further inspection on your call.
Sounds great. We'll keep an eye on it. Thanks.
This is Mission Control. Houston again. What's taking place is that the team here inside the flight control room is working with the Expedition 33 crew to send some ground commands from here in Houston up to the station and its robotic arm to spin Dragon around to line up the hatches. Here's a view from the robotics workstation here inside Mission Control, all the different virtual camera views of Dragon's current position relative to the station. So they'll get the two hatches lined up, and then the crew will take over once again and begin the final installation of Dragon on the bottom side of the International Space Station. The crew is still running well ahead of time. It is hard to pinpoint exactly how long this process will take because they're making such quick work of everything. But we're going to continue to stand by here on NASA television and bring you live coverage of all of these operations as Sonny Williams and Aki Hoshide get ready to finish up this morning's activities by physically installing this SpaceXDragon spacecraft on the bottom side of the orbiting complex.
Station Houston on 2 for Sonny.
That too, CJ.
Okay, Aki, just letting you know that the way the timing's going to be, we're ready right now for the passive CBM inspection. So you guys are going to jump into that procedure Alpha 6 and use the Lab Starboard Zenith camera on the Lab RWS.
Okay, we'll take a look. Thanks.
Yep, you can look on monitor 3.
Awesome, thanks.
This is Mission Control Houston. You heard CJ Sturco, the Capcom for the Orbit 1 team here inside Mission Control, talking with Sonny Williams and Aki Hoshide. Now they've gotten Dragon properly lined up with the hatch of the spacecraft facing the bottom hatch of the Harmony node. They're going to do an inspection of the hatch on Dragon using the station's cameras, basically just to zoom in, take a look at it, make sure everything is structurally sound. That activity was due to take place at 7:25 a.m. Central Time, so the crew is running about 40 minutes or so ahead of schedule.
Station on 2 for passive CBM inspection.
Go ahead, Akiosos are listening to you.
Hey, CJ, we took a quick sweep using the lab starboard camera. All looks fine. And we also took a closer look at all the pictures that we've taken with the 400, and that looks fine too.
Okay, we copy. Stand by. Houston flight set checking right now. We'll get words to you.
Copy.
Akiho today, they're sending down the message that they have pretty much completed the CBM inspection. Everything looks good. So the structures and mechanisms experts here inside Mission Control will put their heads together, make sure that everything is ready for the next step. But the crew is continuing to press on toward this installation of the SpaceXDragon spacecraft.
Station Houston for the CBMs.
Go ahead, CJ.
Hey, Sonny, Osos are very happy with your report. We're going to hold off on the next maneuver from the robos because we're waiting for KU. So you guys have a little break time now to do what you need, and we will call you back when we're ready for the Dragon install.
That works for us.
This is Mission Control, Houston. Just to summarize what's taking place now, the crew's got about a 10-minute break here right now while they wait for communications with the station to pick back up. The orbiting complex right now is about 250 miles above the Indian Ocean, heading up to the northeast. Going to be passing over parts of Asia, and then up over parts of Russia, then heading up over the Pacific Ocean. Dragon is in the proper position. It is lined up, still attached to the station's robotic arm. They have wrapped up taking a look at the hatch and the common berthing mechanism that is part of Dragon. There's an active side and a passive side, so they've taken a look to make sure that the passive side that's on Dragon is ready to be attached to the station. Everything looked good. So they're going to stand by and wait. The next step will be for the robotic arm to be moved once again to the pre-install position where Dragon will be lined up even closer to the station. And then they will go to what you will hear over the communication loops referred to as RTL, that is ready to latch. There are 4 latches and 16 bolts that will hold Dragon to the International Space Station. They are clamped down and tightened down in a very methodical procedure. But the crew is running well ahead of time. And then once this communications gap is finished up here in the next 10 minutes or so, the crew will begin the final process of getting Dragon installed, so we'll stand by for that. As we talked about earlier in the hour, we were due to take a break here on NASA television in between the capture of Dragon, which took place at 5:56 Central Time, and the actual installation, but the crew's moving so fast and making such good progress on this that we're going to stay with it.